Portulacaria Afra, mini jade, speckboom, elephant bush, and many more. Today I'll be showing you 5 points to think about when dealing with this species. Varieties. There are many different varieties of Port Afra. These are my own currently, starting with the variegated. This cultivar has white tips on the leaves and is usually much slower at growing than the full green leaf varieties. Next to that is my minima. Minima have a tendency to have droopy stalks, making cascades easier. The new growth also grows in with a yellow shade. Next is what I consider a standard port. Not much more to say about that really. Then next to that is my mammoth. This cultivar has the largest leaf of the bunch, which isn't too great for bonsai. There is also the cork jade, clues in the name, and if anyone in the UK has one, please send me a gun, I beg of you. Then the lilliput, which is also another species I am hunting for. This variety has the smallest leaf size and slowest growth habit, but it's amazing for bonsai. And finally, the Mediopicta, or rainbow leaf. Propagation. Propagation is possibly the most fun you can have whilst working with plants and trees. And Portulacaria Afra, in my mind, is the easiest species to propagate. Being a succulent, they have evolved to root in near enough anything, as long as it's dry and warm. In nature, these bushes will be eaten by wildlife. They will root from any size cutting that I've seen so far. The best way to propagate the stalks is by cutting off the lower leaves, leaving a few leaves at the top, then planting rather deeply. Here are some examples of the cuttings I take. These are from a larger mother jade. It's best practice to let them callus at the base before planting. I also add a little wire for shape. I will then dip them in rooting hormone, which isn't necessary. The most critical part for me is to not water them until you see new growth. Even with roots, Portulacaria Afra can suffer with root rot easily, so without roots this is even more of an issue. This ties us into our next topic. Soil type. I've tried all sorts of combinations with ports over the years. Of course, every microclimate is different, and even our behaviours with watering. I find the best mix for growing ports slow and controlled is 50% pumice and 50% lava, with a larger grain. This typically means when they are outside I don't have to worry about overwatering or rainfall, and when indoors I can still water roughly once or twice a week without the worry of root rot. Port hold a tremendous amount of water in the stems and leaves, which means you can get away with not watering for weeks at a time without any issues. For me, I would rather the container go through cycles of wet and dry than constantly damp. Watering and fertilising. As mentioned previously, my own way is my way, and this may not work for everyone. That being said, a general rule of thumb is to only water when the pot is completely dry or you notice leaves starting to shrivel. I don't water at all if they are not actively growing, usually through the winter. As far as fertilising goes, you can put as much fertiliser in as you need. Common issues. If you haven't heard by now, Port Afra are tropical species, or a better way to think of it is very hot and very dry climates. With this in mind, I have found that they will stop growing below 15°C or if sunlight is less than 8 hours per day. They grow best at 25 to 30°C with 12 plus hours of sunlight. Of course I'm in the UK, so these have to be overwintered indoors, and I use grow lights to keep them growing, although they can become leggy over time with insufficient light. Root rot is probably the leading cause of Port Afra's demise. Much like overcleaning your car can cause love scratches, overloving your ports can lead to issues. The most common is root rot. My advice would be to let them dry out more than be damp. Pests are also an issue. The stem and leaves are very soft, meaning pests love to suck on them. I have found the best way to treat this is a very weak mix of washing up liquid or dish soap and water sprayed directly onto the plant 2 or 3 times a day and allowed to dry before washing the mix away. This leads us on to chemicals. I have found that most chemicals you would use on your woody trees doesn't mix well with ports. As the leaves can absorb water in the air, they can also absorb the chemicals. Neem oil will leave brown spots and cause leaves to grow in strange shapes. Insecticides can kill them over time. Those are my 5 main points on growing Portulacaria Afra, especially in the UK. Hope to see you soon. If you enjoyed today's content, please make sure to subscribe, like, and hit that bell notification. I'll see you soon.